Good morning, everyone. This is page 8 in your AKS book. We're going to go over these notes, and I'm going to stop and start it as we go. What we're doing now is the measure of center and spread. What the measure of center is mean, median, mode. You've done these before, and the measure of spread is your range. So we're going to go through these questions. Now, I've already started. You have these numbers and numbers for Miss Jackson and Miss Dunstan. What I did with the numbers first is I took all 10 of them and put them in order from least to greatest. I've already done that. And one thing I've also done is I have added the total for each class. So I took the 10 scores, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, added them up and got a total. That just saves me time later on. And of course, I was supposed to put it from least to greatest down here, but I did not, but that's okay. So I've taken both classes, put them from least to greatest, and I have also added all the totals up into one number. So let's go to question 1. It says, how many people took Miss Jackson's test? How many people took Miss Dunstan's test? So these are the test scores, so all you have to do is count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for Jackson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for Dunstan. So 10 students took the test for both teachers. So that answer is 10. Let's go to question 2. What is the range in both classes? Whose class has the highest range? What conclusion can you make based on the ranges? So let's take the range. Range is the high minus the low number. So we've already got them in order. So let's go up here to Miss Jackson. I've got 96 and 65. So I'm going to put 96 minus 65. I'm going to plug that in the calculator and see what I get. 96 minus 65. So her range is 31. Now let's do Miss Dunstan's 100 minus 65. So it looks like Miss Dunstan's range is going to be a little bit larger. 100 minus 65 is 35. So who has the highest range? We're going to put in Dunstan. Okay, and the questions also asked conclusions. Well, we can say Miss Dunstan. I'm going to put Miss D. Test scores are more spread out. Okay. So let's go over the question 2 again. Range, Miss Jackson is 96 minus 65. 96 minus 65. Miss Dunstan is 100 minus 65. So Miss Dunstan has a higher range. What does that mean? Miss D's test scores are more spread out. She's got a higher one here. Both of their low scores are the same, but Miss Dunstan has a higher score than 96, so her range is more spread out. Okay? So let's go to question 3. Question 3 states, what is the mean scores of both classes? How does the mean compare? So we've got to think about last year. What is the mean? Well, the mean is the average. So what you have to do is add up all the scores, which is what I did, and then you have to divide by the number of test scores. So we already said each class has 10 test scores. So we're going to take Miss Jackson's total. Whoops. Do that again. We're going to take Miss Jackson's total, which is 830, divide by 10. So she has a mean of 83. We're going to take Miss Dunstan's total, divide by 10. She has a mean of 86. So and that's actually Mr. D, has a higher average. Should say class average, but Mr. D has a higher average class, 86 compared to 83. So his class did better, basically. Okay, so once again, I added up all the numbers And I divided by 10. Where did I get 10 from? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 test scores. Okay, so question 4 is talking about the median, the middle number. So here's, let me get the screen a little adjusted. Here's where we got to do a little bit of work. We got to come back up here with the numbers in order. That's why I put them in order. So to find the median, you just start crossing out. Let me bring this down just a little bit. From high to low. Now, you see here, I have two numbers in the middle. If I cross those out, I have no numbers. So when you have two numbers in the middle, you're going to take the average of those two. How do I do that? 81 plus 81 equals 162. And then you're just going to divide by 2 again, and that's going to give you 81. So Miss Jackson's median is 81. Okay? Let's do the same thing to Dunstan's. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. And now there's 2 in the middle also for her. And I've got to take the average, so I'm going to do it right here. And that's going to give me, let's see what that adds up. Do it on the calculator. So 93 plus 82 is 175. I think I'm going to get a decimal on this one. And divided by 2. So her average, middle average or median is 87.5. So let's go back up here and just quickly review. What I did is I took the high and low scores and I just start canceling out. Sometimes you'll end up with one number in the middle. This time I ended up with 2. So when I do end up with 2, I've got to add them and divide by 2 to get the number. 93, 82, got 175 divided by 2. Why did I divide by 2? Because there's 2 numbers. So those are my 2 medians. Okay? What does that mean? It means basically the same as the other one. Mr. D has a higher median of test scores. That's basically what it means. Okay, let's go to question 5. We're going. Question 5 is talking about the mode. I want to go ahead and underline these two also in the range up here. Mode. Mode is when the number that appears the most in each set of data. So mode, I'm going to put most here. Okay, so let's go back up to the numbers. Let's see. Looks like the Jackson class had 381s, so that is their mode. Okay, let's go back up. Look at Jackson. There's 1, 2, 381s, so that is Miss Jackson's mode. Let's look here. There's 2 93s and there's 2 100s. You can have 2 modes, so let's look at it again. There's a couple of 70s that aren't the same, but there's 2 93s here and there's 2 hundreds on the end. So for this particular class, Mr. Dunstan's, he has 2 modes. 93 and 100 because they appear twice, and you can have 2 modes. Okay, so what does that mean? Basically, Mr. Dunstan has a higher mode. Okay. So, question 6. Oh, you get this on a test all the time. It says, based on the scores, which measure of center means mean, median, the 3 M's, mode would be more accurate estimate of scores, and explain why. So let's go look at the scores again. For the most part, the scores are not real close together, but there's no one score that's just out of the blue. They're all kind of in this range of 65 to 95, 65 to 100. There's really no score that is like a 10 or a 15 or a 20. So I would say the best estimate is the mean, because there's no real, it's called an outlier. And I'm gonna put, because there's no outlier. Outlier means there's a score that just doesn't fit. Let me raise this up. Okay, so let's go back to the scores. I know this is a big range of about 30. Whoops. Oh, there you go. I know there's a big range of about 30, but there's no test score that's just out of the ordinary, like a 15 or a 20 or a 30. So the scores are pretty consistent for the most part. So let's go back to the question again. Which measure of center, excuse me, would be the most accurate estimate of test scores? The mean, because there's no outlier basically. And we'll talk about question 6 throughout the next 2 days, and you'll get more comfortable with it. So let's go over what we did real quick. I took all the test scores first. I put them in order from least to greatest. I should have put it down here, but I didn't. And then I added the total for both classes, and it set me up for the rest of the questions. Question 1 said, how many people took the test? Whoops. 10. I just counted 10. Question 2 said, what's the range? I took the high and the low numbers for each class. Question 3 says, what's the mean? Well, I took my totals for both class. I divided by 10 and got the mean. Question 4 said, what's the median? And this is where I had to come up here and start crossing out. And I ended up with 2 numbers in the middle, so I added them and divided by 2. I keep forgetting you can't see that. I took the 2 numbers in the middle, added and divided by 2. Let's go back to question, I think we're on question 5. Mode, most. Which number appears the most? There's 2 81s here, there's 2 93s here, and 2 100s here. So Miss Jackson had a mode of 81. Mr. Dunstan had 2 modes. There's 2 93s and 2 100s. And then the final question, which measure of center? So what is the measure of center? Mean. It's either mean, median, or mode. I got my 3 M's here. I chose the mean because there's no outlier. There's no real low test score here, like in the teens or in the 20s. So, guys, that is page 8. We're going to talk about question 7 later in the unit. That is page 8. I'm going to have you do page 9, and we will talk about it after everybody's done.